Welcome back to the library, everyone. Today, our tale takes us into the depths of Azeroth's history as we answer the question, who are the Bloodsail Buccaneers? Situated in the southernmost expanse of the Eastern Kingdoms, beyond the formidable jungles of the Stranglethorn Vale, anchored along the coastline just south of Booty Bay, we encounter the Bloodsail Buccaneers. To this day, they stand as the most feared and infamous pirate band to ever navigate the seas of Azeroth. Many adventurers fought against them, became their victims, escaped from them, and some even joined their ranks. Yet, travellers are often left with the question, who are the Bloodsail Buccaneers and what narrative lies behind their existence? That is precisely what we are delving into in this very story. To grasp the essence of a Bloodsail Buccaneer, it's essential to comprehend the role they play in the ever-evolving tale of Azeroth. The Bloodsail Buccaneers are just one of the numerous pirate factions navigating the vast seas. Azeroth's pirates are notorious for their activities, including the attacking, capturing, and destroying of ships on the high seas, and for this reason they pose a direct threat to both the Alliance and the Horde navies, who are also constantly vying for control over the vast sea. They also engage in various illegal activities for their own personal gain, such as smuggling, robbery, illegal gambling, kidnapping, trespassing whilst hunting for treasure, slave trading, and then assassinations. The most successful pirates are usually part of larger organisations, one example being the Bloodsail Buccaneers. The ruthless pirates belonging to the Bloodsail Buccaneers stand out as the most infamous and bloodthirsty pirate faction on the open seas. Their menacing presence poses a significant threat to the numerous merchants navigating the seas, and they also harbour a deep-seated hatred towards Booty Bay. However, the presence of this fearsome pirate band prompts the question, where did they come from? Before the Third War, a man named Falrevere, once a noble Lordaeron citizen, owned an expansive estate in Coltyrus. He stood as one of Admiral Dalen Proudmoore's significant rivals on the island, commanding a fleet of 12 merchant ships and twice as many warships. Falrevere, skilled in sailing, often accompanied his men at sea, patrolling for pirates and overseeing the transport of goods along the coast. Although not known for his likeness, he ensured the well-being and safety of his people, earning their favour. Falrevere strongly believed in human supremacy, advocating stringent measures against other races, a stance that garnered both unpopularity and support from like-minded individuals. As the Third War unfolded, Falrevere was navigating the seas with one of his battleships when a griffin rider delivered news of the conflict and pleaded for assistance in Drisburg on Coltyrus' northern coast. Despite his initial disdain, Falrevere reluctantly agreed to set sail towards the town. Upon arrival, he witnessed the Scourge besieging the town, calculating the grim odds of survival if him and his crew engaged in the battle. Realising the futility and foreseeing substantial casualties, Falrevere made a callous decision to abandon the doomed settlement. Facing opposition from some crew members, Falrevere silenced dissent by tossing the loudest protesters overboard. Realising he could never return to Coltyrus, he sailed to the mainland seeking updates on the war. Upon learning of Lordaeron's blighted state, he blamed the events on the recent human alliances with the elves and the dwarves. Falrevere decided to distance himself from his homeland. Gathering his crew, he offered them a choice, either to disembark or to fight for Lordaeron. Many soldiers left to meet their fate on Lordaeron soil, but others joined Falrevere. He declared his intention to establish a new estate in a remote, scourge-free location, possibly a tropical island in the South Seas. After leaving, he travelled the seas and eventually discovered Plunder Isle. Despite the presence of murlocs and basilisks on the island, they posed a minimal threat to the arriving seafarers. Consequently, Falrevere initiated the construction of his fortress, later named Bloodsail Hold. After turning his back on Coltyrus and his homeland of Lordaeron, this once staunch Lordaeron noble had transformed into a pirate lord, founding the Bloodsail Buccaneers. Duke Falrevere led the Bloodsail Buccaneers and was often found aboard his flagship, the Devil Shark. Assisting him were his 4 commodores, his daughter, Jessie Falrevere, Wallace Boltscrew, Lester Zank, and then an unidentified 4th Commodore, each overseeing approximately 12 pirate ships. The fleet masters were responsible for smaller groups, captains commanded individual ships, and then first mates assumed control where they were needed. At this time, approximately half of the Buccaneers consisted of remnants from Falrevere's original crew, individuals who abandoned Lordaeron and Coltyrus for a life of piracy. The remaining members were recruited from waterfront saloons and docks. Given Falrevere's reputation for treating his crew relatively fairly, there was a steady influx of new and willing members to replace those lost on missions. These recruits were often individuals with nowhere else to turn, those drawn to bloodshed on the sea, those harbouring animosity towards non-humans or individuals seeking quick wealth. Even with a continuous influx of individuals eager to join the ranks of this new pirate crew, there exists a notable story of 3 Bloodsail Buccaneers who, unwillingly, found themselves thrust into the life of piracy. Many pirate factions engage in conflicts with rival organisations, as the ultimate aim for these groups is to achieve complete dominance of the high seas. On one of the Bloodsail ships, the Garrote, the Bloodsail Buccaneers encountered a clash with the Defias Brotherhood. While the Defias Brotherhood may not strictly qualify as a pirate band, being more of a collective of outlaws compared to the Buccaneers, the two groups still found themselves in a confrontation. Captain Bloodvein of the Garrote harboured a personal vendetta against Edwin Van Cleef, the leader of the Defias Brotherhood. While the exact details of this hatred are scant, it is rumoured that Van Cleef pilfered gold from Bloodvein and also persuaded a woman who Bloodvein held dear to sever ties with him. A skirmish between the two factions resulted in the loss of 3 Bloodsail Buccaneers. In response to this, Bloodvein orchestrated the abduction of 3 boys off the coast of Westfall. As a retaliatory measure, the Buccaneers seized James, Jimmy Blackridge, Liam, and Bram Woodring, who all hailed from honest farming families in the Elwyn Forest. While on an adventurous fishing trip near Westfall Lighthouse, instead of their intended visit to Stormwind City, the trio fell victim to the passing Bloodsail Buccaneers, who forced them into a life of piracy. This act was an eye for an eye response to the Defias Brotherhood, having previously killed the 3 Buccaneers. Held captive on a sailing ship, the boys had no choice but to adapt to the pirate life for survival. Under the pirates' guidance, they were trained in combat skills. Jimmy, the largest among the boys, developed his prowess with a 2-handed axe and became a skilled warrior. Liam, who harboured a fascination with magic, developed proficiency with dual daggers, while Bram mastered the use of a 1-handed sword. Under the leadership of Captain Bloodvein, Jimmy and his companions were compelled to participate in the pillaging of merchant ships, albeit avoiding causing harm to individuals. Subsequently, they were transported to Plunder Isle, where Liam, through the magical scrolls and tomes they acquired, developed proficiency in magic. During their stay on Plunder Isle, Bloodvein revealed his rivalry with Edwin Van Cleef, prompting plans for revenge against the Defias Brotherhood. While Jimmy sought an opportunity to escape their piratical existence, Liam and Bram chose to remain. As the crew prepared to raid the dead mines and confront Van Cleef, Jimmy learned from Bloodvein that the Defias had kidnapped his family. Bloodvein would use this against Jimmy to try and motivate him to join the raid. During the Bloodsail Buccaneers' assault on Ironclad Cove, Jimmy managed to rescue his parents but was apprehended. Captain Bloodvein, unwilling to let anyone leave his crew, presented Jimmy with an ultimatum: return to servitude to the Bloodsail Buccaneers or face execution for mutiny. Challenging Bloodvein to a duel, Jimmy evaded an anticipated bullet from the captain's pistol and emerged victorious after a fierce fight to the death. Outraged by their captain's demise, the crew intended to execute Jimmy and his parents, but Liam and Bram, utilising their abilities, facilitated their escape from the Bloodsails, reaching the safety of Sentinel Hill. The crew of the Garrote, now without a captain, would gradually vanish into obscurity, the ship and its members disappearing into the vastness of the high seas, never to be seen again. In the aftermath, having returned to a life of farming in the Elwyn Forest, Jimmy discovered a newfound enjoyment in managing a farm. Liam dedicated himself to furthering his magical studies and eventually apprenticed under an archmage. Bram seized the opportunity to delve into the world of engineering, pursuing his studies in Ironforge. All 3 boys managed to transition back to a semblance of normalcy after their adventurous stint on the high seas with the most cutthroat pirate collective in all of Azeroth. The conflict with rival organisations extends beyond the Defias Brotherhood. The encounter with the Rogue Masons was merely a minor setback. The primary adversary of the Bloodsail Buccaneers are the Blackwater Raiders and their pirate-controlled city of Booty Bay. At this time, Booty Bay was governed by the Blackwater Raiders, who maintained a close association with the goblin-led Steamweedle cartel. The port extended its services to all travellers passing through, irrespective of their faction, and because of this, it was one of the most popular locations in all of Azeroth. After spending 5 years on Plunder Isle, Falrevere's temperament showed little improvement. Every pirate under his banner harboured a deep-seated animosity towards anyone they encountered, with a particular disdain for non-humans. This resentment reached its peak when directed at the Blackwater Raiders, whom Falrevere despised for receiving support, including gold and equipment from the detested goblin trade princes. In Falrevere's view, humans should rightfully dominate the seas, not goblins. According to Tavern Tales, the Blackwater Raiders are implicated in the death of Falrevere's son, Magran, although some of the other stories hint that Falrevere never really liked him anyway. This animosity towards the Blackwater Raiders would eventually materialise. The Bloodsail Buccaneers devised a plan to raid Booty Bay, aiming to overthrow the Blackwater Raiders and end their dominance over sea trade routes. Their goal was to restore human supremacy on the seas. As they explored ways to plunder and weaken the cartel-controlled city, they discovered that a significant portion of the Blackwater Raider fleet had become stranded off the coast of the Arathi Highlands. With 2 ships destroyed and the remaining one seeking refuge in a cove, the crew were facing frequent skirmishes against the native Daggerspine Naga, leaving the raiders' forces in the southern seas extremely vulnerable. Seizing the opportunity, the Bloodsail Buccaneers, in preparation for the assault on Booty Bay, sailed from Plunder Isle and strategically positioned themselves near Booty Bay. They anchored 3 ships along the coastline south of the bay, safely out of reach of the town's defensive cannons. Camps were also set up along the same coast, and a scouting party landed west of the city entrance to monitor activities. However, an adventurer on the payroll of the Booty Bay's leaders, Baron Revelgaz and Fleetmaster Seahorn, got wind of the impending attack and promptly warned them of the Bloodsail threat. This alert enabled Booty Bay to gather resources and seek aid from adventurers to fortify itself against the Bloodsail raid. This led to a standoff between the 2 organisations, with neither of them making the initial aggressive move. Prior to the Cataclysm, the Buccaneers had not launched any substantial raids on Booty Bay. Instead, they conducted small infiltrations to instill fear among the bay's inhabitants. Dizzy One Eye holds a treasury of tales recounting the daring exploits of the Bloodsail Buccaneers. In times long past, Dizzy lost both of his eyes during a fierce battle within Menethil Harbour. Upon hearing the news of Dizzy's misfortune, a skilled wizard enchanted a glass eye and gifted it to Dizzy, restoring his sight. However, as years passed, he made his way to Booty Bay. The Buccaneers, amidst the city raid, seized Dizzy's enchanted glass eye. This unfortunate event cast him into darkness once again, marking a second instance of blindness within a single lifetime. Rumours have circulated that a resourceful adventurer managed to retrieve the prized eye, but it is yet to be confirmed. The Bloodsail Buccaneers bided their time for years, awaiting the opportune moment to raid the port city. The standoff persisted until the Buccaneers strengthened their forces by aligning with the Brashtide crew. The Brashtide crew, initially members of the Blackwater Raiders, disappeared at sea and were presumed dead for many years. However, it was later revealed that they had been captured in Gilneas, just before the kingdom was sealed away by King Greymane. Imprisoned, they underwent a transformation when the Worgen curse swept through the land. Upon the reopening of Gilneas' borders, the Brashtide crew chose to defect to the Bloodsail Buccaneers, joining forces with them in a plot against Booty Bay for reasons yet unknown. Amidst the chaos caused by Deathwing's return and the backing of the Brashtide crew, the Bloodsail Buccaneers opted to launch an assault on Booty Bay. The pirate forces launched a brutal attack on the bay, with the Bloodsail Buccaneers employing their signature tactics of murder, destruction, and pillaging. They set Booty Bay ablaze and established a blockade around the city. In a fierce battle, the fate of the city rested on the shoulders of adventurers who, against all odds, managed to save Booty Bay. The Buccaneers retreated to their outpost along the Stranglethorn Vale shoreline. With no immediate plans for another attack on Booty Bay, their focus shifted to other areas of the high seas. The feud with the Blackwater Raiders remained and intensified over the next few years. After witnessing the strength of their own pirate band after combining forces with the Worgen Brashtide crew, the Bloodsail Buccaneers relaxed their ideology and animosity against non-humans. Slowly, they allowed pirates of other races to join their ranks. After the cataclysm, Bloodsail Buccaneers ships, the Orca and the Killmonger, led by Iron Patch, initiated an assault on the Sea King of the Blackwater Raiders. Iron Patch, an Orc Bloodsail captain, slew the Sea King's captain, Adash Flintwill, along with his 2 brothers. Following the pillaging, as Iron Patch prepared to eliminate the remaining crew, Graydon Thorn and the Wavestrider intervened and sabotaged the Killmonger. Infiltrating the Sea King, this interference led to the defeat of the Bloodsail Buccaneers, culminating in Iron Patch's demise at the hands of Mikasa Flintwill, who sought revenge for her brother's deaths. Amidst the elemental unrest that engulfed Azeroth, the seas became nearly impassable, compelling a Bloodsail Buccaneers ship under the command of Admiral Eliza Goreblade to seek refuge near a cluster of small islands not far from Booty Bay. Following the initial unrest, Eliza Goreblade observed that the waves had exposed a trove of gold, jewels, and a pair of weapons. These were the last remnants of the sunken ship, the Bellwether. The Buccaneers eagerly seized the treasure. Admiral Goreblade claimed a pair of radiant cutlasses for herself, the only weapons in the cache that had not succumbed to rust and wear over time. Unbeknownst to her, these blades were later identified as the Dreadblades. The Bloodsail Buccaneers at this point likely had no idea initially that they were entangling themselves with the Burning Legion. It was no accident that these weapons ended up in Admiral Goreblade's possession. It was a calculated and meticulously executed plan by a Burning Legion commander, well versed in corrupting individuals and turning them against their own worlds. Upon claiming these cutlasses, Goreblade was gripped by a vision. She envisioned herself commanding an impossibly vast pirate fleet capable of dominating the high seas and subjugating all the nations of Azeroth. Every ship that dared to oppose her was reduced to ashes, and every city surrendered its treasures and faced destruction. The sight was intoxicating, and she savoured every promise it held. Upon awakening, she directed her crew towards a rival pirate hideout. The corrupted Bloodsail Buccaneers ruthlessly slaughtered all unfortunate souls they encountered. The plunder they seized was of secondary importance. The true satisfaction came from the killing. These weapons had embedded themselves deep within their minds, and escape was now impossible. Goreblade's Buccaneers became a stealthily lethal menace on the South Seas. Talgath, the master of these weapons, understood the consequences of attracting too much attention. Thus, he guided Admiral Goreblade to attack only isolated ships and ensure they did not escape. For several years, the pirate crew followed these instructions faithfully. They killed without mercy, and the power of the cutlasses grew stronger. When other Bloodsail Buccaneers learned of the crew's descent into complete insanity, they attempted to intervene. Goreblade's pirates not only survived the counterattack, but also seized the Bloodsail Buccaneers' most prized ship, the Crimson Veil, for themselves. Gradually, some crew members began to transform. Their forms withered and faded until only their skeletons remained. The cutlasses hungered for blood, and so did she. Shortly before the arrival of the Legion, Goreblade unravelled the true power behind her weapons. Talgath revealed himself and proposed that she had only experienced a mere drop of the Burning Legion's strength. If she aided the demons in the impending war, he promised her ascension to immortality. The Admiral agreed without hesitation, forging a pact that consigned the souls of her entire crew to Talgath's care. Having relished being the unseen terror of the seas, she now harboured a consuming desire to bring the world to ruin. When the Legion attacked, so did Admiral Goreblade. It became apparent that her crew had decimated several convoys of reinforcements from both the Horde and the Alliance before reaching the Broken Isles. It was during the invasion by the Burning Legion that the non-corrupted Bloodsail Buccaneers leadership had been taken over by Fleet Admiral Tethys. Tethys maintained affiliation with the Uncrowned, a group of rogues guided by their leaders known as the Shadows. The primary focus of the Uncrowned lies in combating the Burning Legion. Left unchecked, Admiral Goreblade could have inflicted immeasurable damage upon the Legion's enemies. Collaborating with the Uncrowned, Fleet Admiral Tethys enlisted a rogue adventurer to reclaim their ships from Goreblade's crew. The rogue pursued Goreblade into the Temple of 1,000 Lights, and it was here she met her demise. Sometime later, Talgath, the master of the Dreadblades, also met his defeat, his spirit now banished to the Twisting Nether. His hold on the cutlasses had been shattered. The madness he infused into them, the thirst for blood, had all been alleviated. Following these events, the unafflicted Bloodsail Buccaneers resumed their normal life of piracy, if such thing can be considered as normal. Fleet Admiral Tethys continues to lead the Buccaneers on piracy crusades across Azeroth to this day. His endeavours extend too far to recount in this particular tale, so as the sun sinks below the horizon, casting a warm glow across Azeroth's seas, for now we bid farewell to the Bloodsail Buccaneers. In the ever-changing tale of Azeroth, their legacy endures, etched in the salty winds and the whispers of the waves. The Buccaneers, with all of their bloodthirsty quests and seafaring adventures, have left an indelible mark on the high seas. As we reflect on their journey, let us not only remember the battles and conflicts, but also the untamed spirit of those pirates who dared to challenge the vast expanse of Azeroth's oceans. May the echoes of their tales linger in the sea breeze, inviting us to embark on our own adventures and discover the mysteries that await beyond the horizon.